They laughed at her jacket, but when the general saw the patch, shocking truth emerged. In the small town of Rivertown, Friday nights were for high school football, but tonight, a different kind of excitement electrified the air. Marissa Fox stood alone in the crowded cafeteria, a swirling storm in her chest, clutching the straps of her worn backpack. Her confidence flickered under the neon lights, like a candle struggling against the wind. Everyone laughed, their voices blending into a mocking chorus as they pointed at her jacket, a splattered patchwork of colors, sewn with care but out of place among the designer trends flaunted by her peers, but it wasn't just any ordinary jacket. Each patch told a story, a secret waiting to be uncovered, and one symbol stood out, an emblem of a forgotten era, a military crest that shimmered in the fluorescent light. As she caught the curious eyes of the group, a chill coursed through her body. It felt like they were judging her, not just her jacket, they were staring into her soul. Why did they laugh? Why did they seem so unsettled? The tension thickened as footsteps approached. It was General Webb, their local war hero, whose mere presence conjured a mix of awe and fear. The laughter faded into an uneasy silence as he reached Marissa. His brows furrowed, eyes narrowing as they fixated on the patch. The cafeteria air crackled with unspoken questions. What was so special about it? It was just a jacket, wasn't it? Where did you get this? He asked, his voice steady but tinged with urgency. The room held its breath, every eye now glued to her. Marissa felt the lump in her throat grow as the room descended into abrupt stillness. She could feel the weight of their scrutiny, their murmurs swirling around her, suffocating and electric. Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Did you hear me? General Webb pressed on, his voice barely above a whisper, a mixture of fear and reverence. Marissa hesitated, glancing at the patch, her heartbeat wild against her ribs. What was so important? A sense of dread rose in her. Was her family's past buried under layers of silence? Could this one jacket unravel more than just her confidence? The whispers intensified, and Marissa felt the walls closing in. She closed her eyes, bracing for the inevitable truth could be a heavy burden. Did she even want to uncover what lay beneath? What would happen next? The weight of the moment hung thick, ready to shatter the fragile calm. And then, the cafeteria doors swung open, introducing a gust of windy chaos that carried with it a mysterious figure, shrouded in shadows, with eyes that gleamed with an unsettling knowledge what secrets were about to unfold. Marissa's breath hitched in her throat as the newcomer stepped into the fluorescent glare, casting long shadows across the tile floor. A hood obscured the face, creating an air of mystery that pulled every gaze in the room. The hushed murmurs transformed into a collective gasp, echoing like an advancing tide, each student instinctively shrinking back from the unknown intruder. Who are you? General Webb's voice broke through the tension, authoritative yet edged with an uncertainty. Marissa felt the air grow heavier, as if the entire cafeteria was suspended in that one moment, a fragile balance between the past and the present. The figure hesitated, then lowered the hood, revealing a familiar face that sent jolts of recognition rippling through the crowd. It was Anna, Marissa's estranged older sister, the one who had vanished without a trace 3 years ago, leaving a void in their family deeper than anyone would admit. Her piercing green eyes met Marissa's, filled with a swirl of emotions: guilt, pain, but most of all, determination. What are you doing here? Marissa's voice trembled, parting the silence like a knife. I had to come, Anna replied, her voice steady yet tinged with urgency. It's about that jacket. She gestured toward the patch emblazoned with the military crest. You don't know, do you? The absurdity of the moment clawed at Marissa's sanity. Laughter had echoed in the cafeteria moments ago, but now, everything shifted. Furtive glances and whispers filled the air, thickening the atmosphere with a sense of impending chaos. The general stepped closer, the tension radiating from him palpable. "You have to explain, Anna. This isn't a game. Lives were affected by what happened back then." "What do you mean?" Marissa shot back, a whirlwind of confusion and hurt swirling in her gut. Her sister had left her, discarded them all, and now she was back, spinning tales about a jacket. It felt impossible, but the weight of the General's words clawed at her sense of reality. "I left because I had to protect you," Anna insisted, her voice cracking. "That patch, it's more than just a symbol. It's a warning." "A warning?" The word ricocheted in Marissa's mind, twisting her thoughts until they were tangled and frayed. Voices around her buzzed with disbelief, but she couldn't focus on that. What had her sister been involved in? Was this why she had vanished? The General's face paled, concern etching deeper lines across his brow. "It connects to a legacy that your family has tried to forget," he said gravely. "One that involves danger, and our town." Marissa felt cold tendrils of fear slither around her spine. She looked at Anna, searching for the sister she had known, the protector who had vanished into thin air. But what she saw was a stranger, a cryptic puzzle wrapped in unanswered questions. Suddenly, the cafeteria door swung open once more, this time inviting a cold gust that spoke of far more than just a change in weather. The whispers turned to shouts, the crowd surged with excitement and fear, but Marissa couldn't hear them. All she could hear was the relentless ticking of her own heart, echoing like a drum of dread. "Marissa," Anna whispered, urgency flooding her words. "You need to trust me. There's so much you don't know. We don't have much time." Marissa's heart raced. As she took a shaky step toward her sister, the room erupted, revealing shadows moving in the entryway, figures cloaked in anonymity, eyes hidden but intent. What new threats loomed over them, and could she really trust the sister who had left? The storm was brewing, and everything was about to explode. The moment the shadows emerged, a fraught silence enveloped the cafeteria. Every student's eyes darted between the imposing figures at the door and the chaos that had just ignited around Anna. They had come for something, and Marissa's heart thumped violently in her chest as if it sensed the oncoming storm. "Get down!" General Webb shouted, his voice cutting through the murmur of terror that filled the room. The order snapped like a whip, jolting students to react. Some ducked under tables, while others froze in place, terror painted across their faces. Marissa looked back at Anna, who stood resolute, a lighthouse amid a gale. "Anna, what's happening?" Panic clawed at Marissa's throat. "They're here for the jacket," Anna replied, her voice urgent yet calm. "And the secrets connected to it." Before Marissa could respond, two of the cloaked figures stepped forward, their faces partially obscured, eyes glinting with a hostile light. They radiated an air of authority that sent a chill across the cafeteria. The one in front, taller and with an air of arrogance, pointed directly at Anna. "Damn it, Anna. You shouldn't have come back," he growled, his voice low but filled with menace. "You were supposed to be out of this life for good." "Too late for that," Anna shot back, a defiance sparking in her eyes. "There's too much at stake now." Marissa felt trapped. Confusion battled with her instincts. Her sister had come back from the shadows of her past, and now it seemed those shadows were spilling back into their lives. "We need to move," General Webb snapped, glancing nervously at the figures advancing toward them. "Now." Without thinking, Marissa reached for Anna's arm. "We can't just run away. We need answers." Another figure lurched forward, a small backpack slung over one shoulder. It fell to their feet, and with it came a collection of metal objects clattering across the floor. Each one gleamed like a warning. Everyone in the cafeteria gasped at the sight. "Those belong to us." The first figure barked. The tension in the room thickened, hanging like smoke. With a sudden motion, Anna grabbed Marissa's wrist tighter. "You don't know what you're asking for." "If they find out," she trailed off, wide-eyed, her resolve unraveling. Marissa's stomach twisted painfully at the thought. What don't I know? The figures closed in, swiftly filling the aisle with shadowy silhouettes that brushed against the edges of panic. Before Marissa could comprehend the unfolding situation, the general shouted again. We're not letting them take you, Anna. He turned toward Marissa. We need to shield her. Everyone, form a barrier. Amid the surging bodies, fear turned to fury. Marissa's entire being screamed for action as insistent whispers darted around her. Would she protect her sister, the one who had left them, or would she succumb to the pressure of the unknown? But just as her resolve began to solidify, something unusual happened. The lights flickered violently, plunging the cafeteria into shadows, and a deafening crash echoed through the air. Panic erupted like a wildfire. Students screamed, and the cloaked figures staggered momentarily, surprise mingling with their intent. Marissa! Anna shouted, her voice piercing through the madness. You need to listen. The truth lies in the jacket. They want it, and they will stop at nothing to get to you. The ground shook beneath them, chairs screeched as students scrambled in every direction. Marissa felt the weight of the moment, the fabric of truth and lies unraveling. Could she trust Anna? Could she embrace the chaos that threatened to swallow them? As dust billowed around them, obscuring her vision, Marissa's mind raced. The tension shattered all sense of safety. She made a decision, however reckless, sharpened by the stakes. Come on! She yelled, pulling Anna with her, forging a path through the chaos. The cafeteria felt like a battlefield, and they needed to escape. Just as they reached the exit, a gloved hand clamped down on Marissa's shoulder, spinning her around. The figure's hood slipped down, revealing a face she never expected to see, the one person who had always been there, like a whisper in the dark. Run! The voice echoed, intertwined with desperation and terrifying familiarity, sending tremors through her body. Caught between the past and the present, the truth hanging before her like a precipice, Marissa had to decide what she believed. Would she uncover the secrets hidden within the jacket and their family's legacy, or would the darkness consume them all? The answer felt closer than ever, yet shrouded in uncertainty, as she glimpsed a pair of eyes filled with menace step forward from the shadows. What awaited them at the threshold of revelation? Marissa's heart raced as she processed the familiar face now staring back at her. The anguish and relief collided within her, morphing into a whirlwind of emotions. David? She gasped, though the name felt like a ghost in her mouth. He had vanished without a trace, wrapped in whispers of betrayal and defection. Please, you have to trust me. David implored, his voice a blend of urgency and fear. There's no time to explain. The cafeteria trembled with fear and chaos, chairs clattering as students pushed and shoved, desperate to escape. Amid the growing tumult, the cloaked figures regained their footing, fierce determination painting their faces with deadly resolve. What do you mean there's no time? Marissa demanded, her grip on Anna tightening. You can't just Anna, David interrupted, glancing at her, we have to go now. They're here for the jacket, and they won't stop until they get it. They'll kill anyone who gets in their way. The weight of his words settled heavily in the air, drawing Marissa back toward the urgency of the moment. She met Anna's gaze, and the silent conversation that passed between them was a blend of fear, trust, and desperation. Let us move. General Webb's voice rallied the small gathering around Anna. This whole place is about to become a disaster zone. A cacophony of screams and crashing sounds echoed through the cafeteria, making it impossible for Marissa to focus. Suddenly, a window shattered, sending shards of glass spiraling into the room. Students ducked, hands shielding their heads, while the cloaked figures revealed weapons that gleamed dangerously in the dim light. Run! Marissa shouted, pulling Anna and David along as they dashed toward the kitchen's back exit. They maneuvered through the chaos, the general leading the way, and Marissa's mind was a tangled web of questions. Why had David returned? What did he know that could help them? As they barreled into the kitchen, a harsh siren blared above them, mingling with the rumbles of a stampede. Choosing one side of the expansive kitchen, they flowed through swinging doors just as an explosion of noise shook the walls. In the dim, flickering light, Marissa could see stacks of pots and pans, flour bags that had been knocked over, creating a chaotic but effective barricade against pursuing figures. "We can't stay here," she urged, glancing back to find the shadows closing in. "Behind the walk-in freezer," David shouted. He raced toward a door at the back, yanking it open with urgency. The chilling gust of cold air swept over them as they pushed inside, their breath visible in the chill. No one followed, Anna observed quietly, closing the door as they huddled together in the gloom. The sound of their pounding hearts filled the silence. "What now?" Marissa asked, struggling to steady her voice. David's face tightened, the familiar warmth replaced by a guarded expression. "We wait. They'll be looking for us, but this is also where the truth begins." "Truth?" Marissa asked, her skepticism clashing with a flicker of hope. "What truth?" David pulled something from his pocket, a small metal patch that gleamed ominously even in the darkness. The insignia was intricate, intertwining symbols that suddenly sent jolts through Marissa's spine. "The patch," he explained, his voice low. "It's not just any patch. It links to everything they want." Anna's jacket wasn't merely a choice of fashion. It holds history, secrets that could unravel everything. "How do you know?" Anna demanded, her voice edged with disbelief. "Because I was the one who helped forge it," David replied, eyes narrowing in remembrance of a past tangled with shadows. "And if they find out you have it, we won't survive." A loud bang echoed from outside the freezer, followed by urgent whispering. The figures were close, a swift sense of danger electrifying the air. Marissa felt her pulse quicken. They're coming. The walls felt like they were closing in, the ice-cold air a bitter reminder of the peril they faced. "Hold on," she whispered, "we can't give up. Not now." But as the door rattled under a powerful force from the outside, the nearly overwhelming weight of uncertainty crashed down on her. Would they be able to protect Anna and the secrets tied to the jacket, or was the darkness closing in too fast to escape? Suddenly, the door burst open, and shadows poured into the room, eyes fixed in manic determination. "You can't hide forever, Anna," the lead figure hissed as they entered, their voice dripping with malice. Marissa felt terror grip her heart as she braced for the fight of their lives, wondering if there was any hope left to grasp at all. What more did David know, and could they reveal the truth before it swallowed them whole? The moment the door burst open, chaos unfurled like a tightly wound coil. Marissa's breath hitched in her throat as the cloaked figures flooded into the room, shadows breaking into her moment of stark reality. The flickering light struggled against their imposing presence, creating an eerie dance of fear that gripped her heart. "Move!" David shouted, his tone laced with urgency. He lunged toward the door, pulling Marissa and Anna with him. But their escape route was cut off. The figures were too swift, encircling them within the cold, steel confines of the freezer. The glint of weapons caught Marissa's eye, and she felt a cold sweat slick her palms. "General Webb!" Anna cried, panic rising. Her voice fractured, echoing against the metal walls of the freezer. "Stay behind me." The general stepped forward, positioning himself between the girls and the intruders. His voice was a growl, thick with resolve. "You'll have to get through me first." Time stretched cruelly as the figures halted, tension crackling in the air. The leader, cloaked in a shroud of darkness, stepped forward. "We don't want to hurt anyone yet." A wicked smile curled on his lips. "But the jacket belongs to our master now, and you have something we need. We'll never give it to you." Marissa shot back, her voice stronger than she felt. Defiance coursed through her, igniting a flicker of hope. Anna's hand tightened around the zipper of her jacket. "You don't even understand. It's not just clothing." Panic surged, interwoven with anger in her eyes. "Oh, we understand more than you think," the leader replied, his tone mocking. He gestured toward David. This one knows all about it. Isn't that right, David? David's expression darkened, the swirling storm of guilt and fear visible on his face. You don't have to do this, he said, his voice faltering. You don't understand the stakes. What stakes? The leader asked, tilting his head as if studying a curious creature. This world is stale, we're here to change everything. All we need is the patch. Marissa felt a clammy fear wrap around her throat as realization struck. The patch had more significance than she'd ever imagined. What do you mean by change everything? She questioned, her voice low but demanding. Perhaps I should show you, he replied ominously, stepping closer. At that moment, a sound cut through the cold silence, a low, distant rumbling. The shadows paused, exchanging tense glances. Outside the freezer, the world felt like it was trembling beneath their feet. Now's our chance. David exclaimed, breaking the hesitation. He grabbed Anna's hand and tugged her toward the back of the freezer. There's another door. Marissa could feel the weight of the cloaked figure's eyes on her, a sinister intent brewing in their gazes. She darted after David and Anna, moving quickly through the stacks of frozen food. They stumbled through a door marked emergency exit, the metal creaking against their weight. They burst into the blinding daylight, surrounded as they emerged onto a hidden loading dock at the back of the building. Go! David shouted, sprinting to the side. But as they dashed into the open air, their hearts racing, they couldn't escape the feeling that eyes were still watching them. Behind them, the booming voice of the leader echoed, a chilling promise that left a deep chill in Marissa's bones. You can run, but you cannot hide. We'll find you again, and next time, you won't be so lucky. They scrambled for cover, adrenaline surging as urgency prickled at their backs. What do we do now? Anna whispered, fear lacing her voice. We find somewhere safe, David replied, scanning their surroundings. And we figure out what this patch really means. But even as they moved deeper into the shadows of the alley, the certainty of danger lingered thick in the air. What secrets lay hidden within that patch? What truths had David forged into it, and how far would the cloaked figures go to claim their prize? Every step they took felt like a footfall deeper into a labyrinth, where the walls might just close in at any moment. And as the darkened voices rattled in Marissa's mind, she could almost hear the echo of that grim laughter. What lay ahead? Only time would tell, but they had to stay one step ahead or risk being consumed by the very chaos they tried to escape. Marissa's heart raced as they huddled against the grimy alley wall, their breaths mingling with the stale scent of marshy asphalt. The weight of the patch, a small, innocuous piece of fabric, felt like an anchor in her pocket, carrying secrets she barely understood. The frenetic energy around them was pulsating, charged with the unnameable danger that loomed just out of sight. We need to keep moving, David urged. His eyes scanned their surroundings, darting toward shadows that danced around corners, insisting they remain hidden. There might be a safe house nearby. Anna, still catching her breath, clutched her jacket tighter, as if it were a shield. But what if they see us? They'll come after us, David. What was that guy talking about? What does he want with this patch? Marissa felt the edge of the patch against her fingertips, and its texture whispered a haunting familiarity. There has to be something special about it, she murmured, half to herself. I mean, it's just a jacket, right? Easier said than done, David replied, urgency creeping into his voice. Let us think for a second. They talked about changing everything. What if this jacket is the key? The implications of his words hung between them, thick and weighted. But how? Anna's brow furrowed, confusion mingling with her fear. Could it lead to some kind of power? Or maybe something even more dangerous? Marissa's voice cracked, a tremor of uncertainty threading through her every word. Suddenly, the echo of footsteps pierced the air. Heavy and deliberate, they echoed from the street beyond the alley. Panic surged through Marissa's veins. They're coming. We have to hide. Instinctively, David pressed the girls against the wall, their bodies melding into the shadows. The footsteps grew louder, resonating like a hammer against Marissa's heart. She squeezed her eyes shut, desperation flooding her senses. Then, one of the cloaked figures appeared at the mouth of the alley, pausing, scanning the surroundings. The leader's voice carried a menacing calm, as if he were challenging the very air to reveal where they hid. "They're nearby. I can feel it." Marissa held her breath, counting each pulse of her heart as the figure stepped forward, casting shadows that swirled like smoke. The world narrowed down to those chilling seconds, silence stretching thin. Where could they have gone? He mused, desperation creeping into his words. Search every corner. They can't be far. With a burst of energy, the cloaked assailants suddenly turned toward the alley, and Marissa felt the grip of panic clench around her throat. "This way," David whispered. With barely a moment's hesitation, he pulled Anna with him behind a stack of crates. "Are we there yet?" Anna breathed painfully in a half-whisper, her eyes wide and shimmering with fear. "They can't know we're here if we can just wait it out." David opened his mouth to say more but suddenly stopped, his expression shifting. "What?" Marissa asked, glancing back at him, whose eyes were now fixed on something off in the distance. Then it came a spine-chilling laugh, loud and echoing through the alley, the unmistakable voice of the leader ringing like a grim bell. "We'll find you. We know your every move. Let us go." David hissed, urgency flooding through him as he tugged Marissa along, shifting further into the alley while they clung to the darkness. Suddenly, a sharp clang startled them, a metallic sound cascading off the walls. Marissa turned to see Anna's jacket snagged on the edge of a pile of crates, and with it, the patch slipped from her pocket, fluttering to the ground like a discarded promise. "Anna! No!" Marissa cried, those precious moments stretching until time felt suspended, but before she could react, a shadow loomed, a dark figure reaching for the patch, its gloved hand brushing against the fabric. "Get back!" David shouted, shoving Marissa aside and lunging toward Anna, but it was too late. The leader smirked, holding the patch aloft, a spark of triumph flickering in his eyes. Marissa's world went dizzy, her heart nearly collapsing in on itself. "No, that's mine!" She gasped, the helplessness crashing over her like icy water. The figure turned slowly, their eyes glinting with malicious glee. "Ah, but you don't understand, little girl. This patch holds secrets you can't even begin to comprehend." As he ripped it loose, a blinding light erupted from the patch, enveloping them in a canopy of overwhelming intensity. Marissa felt a surge of energy, fear mingling with wonder as everything around them began to shift. What lay in wait within that light? What kind of transformation, and at what cost? All she could do was brace herself against the unknown. This wasn't just an escape, it was the beginning of a terrifying revelation. And with the darkness closing in, she realized one crushing truth: the stakes had only just begun to escalate. Marissa gasped as the light expanded, swallowing the alley, the world dissolving around her. She could barely see David and Anna, their faces flickering in the blinding brightness, eyes wide with terror. A roar like thunder surged through her, coursing like electricity, making her hands tremble. The energy felt alive, humming with potential yet equally terrifying. "Marissa! Hold on!" David's voice strained above the chaos, reaching for her through the glare. Panic choked her throat. She fought the urge to scream, to run, but her body felt frozen, like she was part of the light itself. Suddenly, with a deafening crack, the brightness exploded into a million shards, revealing a new scene. The alley transformed into a vast, open space. It was a warehouse, its high ceiling stretching into darkness, punctuated by flickering fluorescent lights that buzzed with an unsettling hum. "What just happened?" Anna whimpered, her eyes darting around. David gripped Marissa's shoulder, grounding her. "The patch, it must have some kind of power," he whispered, unable to disguise the awe in his voice. Marissa stared at the space around them, feeling a mix of fear and anticipation. "But what kind? And where are we?" Their surroundings shifted ominously. Shadows merged and separated, dancing along the walls in grotesque formations. Muffled voices echoed, a mix of panic and deceit, as figures cloaked in dark suits flitted between the shadows. Before she could process everything, a figure emerged, striking and familiar. The leader, eyes glinting, an unsettling smile curling his lips. He stepped closer, his aura radiating confidence, as if he were a conductor of chaos. "Welcome to the Nexus," he proclaimed, the name hanging heavy in the air. "You've crossed into a place where the past meets the future, where secrets can change everything. Just take the patch and leave us alone." David shouted, stepping forward, but Marissa tugged him back. She could sense something darker brewing. The leader's smile widened, revealing teeth too white, too sharp. "You misunderstand, young man. I'm not here to harm you yet." He turned toward Marissa, eyes narrowing. "You're special, aren't you? The one holding the key to unimaginable power." "What do you mean?" Marissa asked, her voice surprisingly steady despite the tremor in her heart. "Each soul that carries this patch has a unique resonance, a connection to events that could unfold or be rewritten," he explained, his fingers brushing the fabric. "You have a choice, dear girl. You can join us, help usher in a new era, or you can fade away, forgotten." "What are you talking about?" Anna stammered, her face pale. "We just want to go home. And that is exactly what I plan to offer, but the cost will be higher than you think." Marissa felt a knot forming in her stomach. She glanced at Anna and David, who were equally bewildered. What price would they have to pay for a return to safety? The leader stepped closer, his face looming with an eerie calm. "You see, the truth is more shocking than you know. This world, this reality, it's all a play, controlled by forces unlike anything you've imagined." A low murmur resonated in the shadows, voices trembling with unrest. Marissa felt the tension build, something sinister was underway. "Why should we trust you?" she spat, gathering courage. His smirk deepened. "Trust? How quaint. You've entered a game, Marissa, and in this game, the rules bend to those who dare to wield them." The lights flickered, casting long shadows across the floor, and in that moment, the others beside her dissolved into whispers, lost in the impending darkness. "Choose wisely," the leader warned, stepping back into shadow. "Make your move." Marissa's heart thudded painfully against her chest. The stakes were high, the air thick with uncertainty. What were they about to unleash, and could they live with the consequences of their choice? Everything around her dimmed as the whispers of the unknown grew louder, a haunting echo of possibilities that would forever change their lives. What awaited them in this nexus? And how far were they willing to go? To claim the fate that danced just out of reach? Marissa's breath quickened as the shadows twisted and turned. David's grip on her shoulder tightened, grounding her but also fueling her rising anxiety. She could feel an electric charge buzz in the air, a sensation that thrummed against her skin. "Where did everyone go?" she whispered, panic leaking into her voice as she looked around the vast, echoing warehouse. The muffled voices now seemed to retreat, obscured by dark corners and looming machinery. "Stay close," David urged, pulling her back against him. Anna shifted nervously, glancing back as if expecting the shadows to lunge at them. "Marissa, we can't trust him," Anna breathed, her eyes darting. "We need to find a way out of here." Marissa nodded, but her heart raced at the thought of abandoning this place before understanding its secrets. The leader, his charismatic aura left a lingering chill. There was power in this room, and she couldn't shake the feeling it revolved around her. What if we're meant to be here? She pondered aloud. Anna glanced sharply, brows knit in disbelief. "You can't be serious. He wants to use you." Before Marissa could respond, the fluorescent lights above flickered violently, plunging them into intermittent darkness. A loud crash erupted, followed by the unmistakable sound of shuffling from somewhere deep in the warehouse. Fear turned their wayward attention back to the shadows. "Do you hear that?" David whispered. Marissa nodded, her heart hammering in her chest. The sounds grew louder, a rhythmic thud, as if something or someone was making its way towards them. Driven by instinct, they pressed against the wall, trying to meld into the darkness. "Maybe it's the others," Anna suggested, her voice trembling, but even she didn't seem convinced. No words could quell their fear that something dangerous was drawing closer. "Listen," Marissa hissed, her clarity piercing through the haze of confusion. She could hear disparate voices battling against intermixed thuds, urgent, desperate. "It doesn't sound like anyone we know." And then, from the depths of the shadows, a figure stepped into the light. A soldier, clad in military garb, stormed into view. His face was grim as he surveyed his surroundings. "General Carter." The leader's voice boomed from the shadows, startling them. "You're early." "Early?" You haven't begun to comprehend what's at stake." The general's eyes darted between Marissa, David, and Anna, narrowing in on the patch emblazoned on Marissa's jacket. "You. Show yourself." Marissa flinched as he pointed, panic surging in waves. "What do you want with me? Do you know what that patch represents?" General Carter pressed, his voice laden with urgency. "You're standing at the precipice of something monumental." "What do you mean?" Marissa's fear was replaced by confusion. "They said it's just a fabric, just a stupid patch." "Stupid?" "No. It is the key." He stepped closer, eyes locked on hers with an intensity that astonished her. "They believe it can rewrite history. Control it." Marissa's knees buckled slightly, disbelief threatening to swallow her. "Rewrite history?" "Yes," General Carter said, focusing. "You don't just wear it wherever you go, so does the truth of your decisions. You are not the pawn you think you are." Anna clutched Marissa's arm, her skin cold. "What kind of decisions?" The leader laughed from the shadows, an unsettling resonance. "Ah! The delicate dance unfolds. The future is unwritten, my friends, and it shall bend whimsically to those brave enough to leap." Marissa stood frozen, eyes darting between the general and the smirking man encased in darkness. Choices loomed before her, a dizzying array of possibilities. The thud grew louder again, the walls vibrating with tension. Faces drawn tight with anxiety, they braced for what might come next. Suddenly, a resonant crack echoed through the darkness. It felt as if the very fabric of their reality was unraveling, reshaping before their unsteady eyes. "What happens if we make the wrong choice?" David shouted, scrambling to regain control of the moment. The leader's laughter faded into the echoing dark, leaving an unsettling silence. "Everything and everyone you know will change." The walls quivered ominously. Marissa felt the patch tingling against her chest, flaring like a beacon. The weight of her choices loomed larger. What did it all mean? And what would it cost to play a part in a game that had no clear rules? As panic flooded her mind, the thud stopped abruptly, plunging them into an eerie stillness. What awaited them in this critical moment? How far would she go to understand the power she held? Marissa's heart thumped furiously in her chest, drowning out the silence that now enveloped them. The sudden stillness was suffocating, pressing down like a weight that made it hard to breathe. She could see the soldier's face twist with uncertainty, as if he too sensed the tension tightening like a noose around them. "What are they?" Anna whispered, her hand trembling against Marissa's arm. "Who are they?" The shadows danced along the edges of the warehouse, a chilling reminder that something sinister lurked close by. Marissa's mind raced, a whirlwind of thoughts and fears intertwined. She could feel the patch against her skin, pulsing with a heat that seemed almost alive. "General Carter," she spoke slowly, testing the weight of the name on her tongue. "Why do you need me?" Carter stepped closer, his eyes refusing to leave the patch. "You are part of a legacy, Marissa. That insignia holds the key to options you can't even begin to fathom. Those who can wield its power effectively are few, and you're one of them." Confusion cascaded through her. She wanted to recoil, to dismiss his claims as empty words meant to entice her, yet there was a part of her that felt anchored in the gravity of those assertions. Suddenly, a shadow loomed behind the general, breaking the stillness with a loud clatter. A figure emerged, disheveled and wild-eyed. It was a woman, her clothes tattered, face smeared with dirt and fear. "Get down!" she screamed, lunging toward them. The air exploded with chaos as gunfire erupted from the darkness. Marissa's instincts kicked and her body moved before her mind could comprehend the urgency. David shoved her and Anna to the ground, his body covering them like a shield. The sound of bullets ricocheted, forcing adrenaline to surge through her veins. "Stay down!" he shouted, pushing them deeper into the shadows. Marissa's pulse quickened, every shot echoing like a timer counting down to an inevitable end. She glanced up just in time to see the woman scramble back toward them, the panic etched deep in her features. "They're coming for you. You have to." But before she could finish, the general intercepted her, seizing her arm and pulling her away. "What do you know?" he demanded. Marissa watched the exchange in stark horror. This woman, holding remnants of fear and information close to her chest, was now caught between allies and potential foes. Would they speak the truth to save themselves? Or would they withhold information, too terrified of consequences? "Listen to her!" Marissa shouted, her voice rising above the din. "We can't afford to be divided." Another round of gunfire erupted, forcing Anna and David back down. The waves of noise echoed, leaving them in baffled terror. Something was terribly wrong, and Marissa needed to make a choice. The leader's voice slithered through the chaos, laden with mockery. "Choices, Marissa. Embrace them. What will you choose, trust or betrayal?" "Enough!" Carter shouted, tension building in his voice. "We don't have time for games." The echoes of terror reverberated, followed by unscripted chaos as the sounds of footsteps gained volume. Soldiers, cloaked in the same ominous military garb, converged from all directions, a wall of armored darkness. Marissa felt her knees buckle, uncertainty flooding her. She had never envisioned being at the center of something this dangerous. But that patch, whatever it represented, could either save them or condemn them all. A voice seemed to resonate from within her, steady yet challenging. "What if you're more powerful than you believe?" The urgency began to crystallize. "We need to figure this out now." The general's gaze met hers with a mixture of fear and respect. "What do you want to do?" Their eyes locked, and Marissa could almost see the choices flickering in the static air around them. What if the right decision could shift the tides? As danger encroached, it dawned on her, the future wasn't just some abstract concept. It was here, now, a thread waiting to be woven. But would she be the weaver or just another casualty caught in the fray? And just as the footsteps closed in, the ground trembled beneath them, sending all into disarray. What was building beneath the surface? As the chaos erupted, Marissa had to confront the truth: power comes at a cost. But what was she willing to pay? The weight of the moment pressed in on Marissa as the panicked chaos surged around her. The shadows, once fleeting figures, now formed a palpable threat, closing in on them with urgency. The loud exchange of gunfire pierced every heartbeat, stitching fear directly into the fabric of her reality. David's fierce grip anchored her, pulling her back from the brink of despair, but Marissa's gaze remained unwavering, focused on that patch glimmering defiantly on her jacket. Suddenly, inspiration struck. "The patch!" she cried, her voice sharper than the cracks of gunfire. "It's the key. We need to harness its power against them." The others turned to her, uncertainty etched on their faces, but a glimmer of hope flickered in their eyes. "What do you mean?" David asked, uncertainty underpinning his words. "The general said it holds the key to decision-making, to rewriting realities. What if we use that? What if we can rewrite this moment?" Marissa urged, desperation intertwining with determination. Anna exchanged a worried glance with David, but then her eyes sparkled with resolve. "Then we need to focus. Channel that power, Marissa. We need to believe in it. With a surge of confidence, Marissa closed her eyes, focusing on the feeling of the patch against her skin. The warmth that had felt so foreign earlier now radiated strength. The chaos around her faded into white noise, and for a blinking moment, she saw glimpses of what could be, a world reshaped, threats vanquished, her sister and David safe. "Let us make our choice," she shouted, and with her mind racing, she projected her focus outward. "We summon strength. We channel the truth hidden inside this patch." The energy began to swirl, a soft hum beginning to echo in the frigid air of the warehouse. The ground vibrated beneath them, and the flickering lights flickered wildly, casting shadows that twisted and coiled with eerie intensity. Marissa felt the connection rising, the fusion of their shared determination wrapping around her like a protective shield. "Together!" she shouted, urging Anna and David to join her, to feel the strength swell through them. Just as the cloaked figures broke through with another wave of chaos, their faces stark against the shadows, a bolt of energetic light flared from the patch. The energy cascaded outwards, a radiant pulse rippling across the room. "Stop!" the leader's voice thundered, but it was swallowed by Marissa's determination. The light erupted, illuminating the space, disbanding the shadows, dissolving their intimidation. She could feel their fear, a reflection of her own, as that luminescent power surged beyond any conceivable limits. That blinding glow, the atmosphere thickened and transformed. "What is happening?" Anna gasped, glancing back towards the light. The figures faltered, retreating into shades, their menacing presence dissipating under the brilliance of Marissa's focus. With fierce momentum, Marissa saw her choice manifesting before her, shards of the past intertwining with the present. "The past can't define us. We rewrite our future now," she cried, as barriers collapsed, revealing allies lurking in the corners of the warehouse, soldiers from General Webb's faction rushing forward to take up positions against the concealed threats. Suddenly, the shadows began to recoil, the leader's confident facade slipping away. "No. This isn't over," he bellowed, but the strength of the growing light pushed against them, breaking their resolve and scattering their ranks. As clarity emerged from the chaos, Marissa opened her eyes wider. The fear that had gripped her heart gave way to empowerment, rising like a phoenix from the ashes. She felt free, aware of the choices swirling around her like stars, and before she knew it, the power of the jacket had forged a new path. "This is our moment. Together, we can create a future that's worthy of our truth." Her voice resonated, a rallying cry that echoed within the very walls they stood before. In that instant, a rush of energy filled the room. The cocoon of light fully enveloped them, and the clashing chaos receded like an ebbing tide. With clarity, Marissa embraced the patch's warmth, feeling connected not just to Anna and David but to infinite potential. The shadows dissolved into whispers, retreating further into the strife that they embodied. Victory hung in the air, tangible yet fragile. Marissa turned to her sister and David, their faces mirrors of resolve and relief. "We can move forward. But we do it together," she said. As calm settled in, General Webb entered their circle, eyes gleaming with renewed purpose. "You've done something remarkable, Marissa. Together, we hold the power to reclaim our future." The patch on her jacket gleamed with significance, a testament to their joint strength and unyielding spirit. This was their story. A legacy reborn, standing at that precipice of hope and uncertainty. Marissa knew that whatever lay ahead, she would face it with her sister and David at her side. Together, they had shattered barriers, discovered their truths, and forged a destiny that was rightfully theirs. And so, beneath the flickering warehouse lights, they took their first steps towards a new beginning, bound by the echoes of the past, yet unshackled by the burdens that had once threatened to engulf them. Now, as they moved forward, the journey truly began. If you've enjoyed this story and want to witness more incredible tales, you need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and keep the stories coming. Your voice matters. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about Marissa's journey. We want to hear from you. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Join the journey, and let us continue writing history together.